Hi everyone, I'm Beth and I'm the Executive Director of the Family Recovery Foundation, and you're watching Module 2 for our Fix Your Family clinical program. We're so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that you're here, and I look forward to getting to know you. And let's start our module. Today we're going to talk about your central nervous system. And I built this curriculum specifically offering Module 2 to talk about you. This is you and your body, you and your nervous system. And there's a specific reason why I thought this would be an important contribution to your recovery. In order to even get to Module 3 or 4 or 5, I think it's really important to recognize that for those of you who have been in a relationship with someone who struggles through addiction or mental health, whether they're actively using or they're in recovery, a lot of us have really been, I would say, have been through quite a bit of trauma, and maybe your loved one has been chronically relapsing, or as you started to recognize the drug or alcohol use, I want you to know that not only does that affect you emotionally, but it truly affects your central nervous system. And over the course of time, whether it's relapse or just behaviors or conflict, or maybe you grew up in a home like that. Maybe you grew up in a home where your nervous system was quite activated. Maybe you grew up in a home with a mom or a dad that struggled with mental health or addiction. Maybe this has been a lifelong process for you. If that's so, I'd really like to just take a moment here and show up with a lot of compassion and a lot of nurture and a lot of care, because our nervous systems really might need some healing. So this module is really dedicated to you and your body and your heart, because in order to operate in the way that all of this curriculum will unfold for you, we first have to start the process of healing. Is that making sense? Does that make sense, Anthony?
Yeah, makes sense.
Just really recognizing that our families, if you're here at the Family Recovery Foundation, it would make sense to me that you could use some healing. It's kind of like first things first. First, we need to get some oxygen on you, maybe defibrillate you back, get you connected and cared for. And I've actually written some skill sets for you that can help you do that. I'm really confident that once you start practicing some of these skills, you're going to start to inherently, just biologically, neurologically, emotionally, spiritually, you're going to start to feel a little bit better. And if you notice, we're talking a lot in this curriculum about you. I'm wondering if you came to this foundation thinking we were going to really be talking so much about your loved one, but the focus of this curriculum is really you, and getting you educated, getting you equipped, giving you the skills, giving you the language, giving you the understanding on what's happened to you, what's happened to your loved one from a science level. And I think it's valuable to you if we recognize for a moment that you actually have a nervous system, a central nervous system that runs all through your body. And we'd like to give you a little bit of education for that today. There's two main nervous systems. They're called the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. You don't need to remember those at all. Don't remember that, Anthony. You don't need to remember that at all. But you can think of it this way. There's a rest and relax nervous system, and there's a fight or flight nervous system. God gave us that fight or flight nervous system because if someone's chasing us, we need a big pump of adrenaline so we can run away. God gave us that sympathetic nervous system so that if there's danger, we can be activated and make the right response. Sometimes in danger, we need to be really still. Sometimes in danger, we need to fight back. So that's why that nervous system is there. There's also this other beautiful thing that's residing in your body, and that's called your parasympathetic. Let's just call that rest and relax. I would wonder, for those of you who are watching this module, if your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response has been running for a long time. What happens when your fight or flight response is running? Your body's popping adrenaline, your body's popping cortisol, and it's activated by chronic thought process. If you have perseverating thoughts about your loved one, perseverating meaning constant, chronic constant thoughts, you're wondering what they're doing, how you're going to get better, how they're going to get better, how the kids are going to deal with him or her. You've got this chronic thought process going. Did you know that your body actually inherently responds to those thoughts? When you have chronic thoughts that are negative in their essence, your body is actually feeling like like your body's in danger. So it'll low-key pump adrenaline and cortisol, which could be producing a somewhat anxiety disorder in you. Do you follow that? Those thoughts are manifesting biological chemicals in your body, and you might be feeling very uncomfortable. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and it can make us feel inflamed, having adrenaline running through your body day after day after day. Maybe you're looking at your loved one's eyes, you're checking their phone, you've got these somewhat enabling codependent types of behaviors. We never have judgment on those behaviors. They show up in these types of homes. And now we've got an activated body. And when your body's activated, it is really difficult to what? It's really difficult to eat. It can be really difficult to sleep. It can be difficult to work, to take care of your children. So we'd like to offer a healing for that. We'd like to take a moment here and maybe reset the body and start the healing process today. Okay? Okay. So those are the two nervous systems, fight or flight, rest or relax. Many people in these types of relationships, whether it's your kid or your loved one, find that their sympathetic nervous system is ignited. So what do we do? I'd love for you to go to module 2 and download it and read along with me. So learning to regulate your nervous system. There are skill sets you can do. Some of these are Eastern practice, and they actually have a tremendous amount of science behind them to help you actually heal that central nervous system. So I'm going to allow you to read through these, and I'll just do a little overview of them. Breath work is one of the leading modalities to help you heal from your trauma. We've got studies coming out of Harvard that are now trumping some of the psychotherapeutic modalities, and breath work is some of the leading skill sets. A lot of people get really caught in how do I do a breath work? I want you to know at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I'm going to give you a tip right here. You breathe in, you hold it, and you exhale. You breathe in, you hold it, and you exhale. Now, in the beginning, it might seem like this type of skill is not really producing much. It adds up in time. What it does is, I'd like you to think of it that your breath, which is your constant, unhooks the neuroplasty inside of your neurotransmissions in your mind, and it gives you a spaciousness so that you can think clearly. A lot of us have these rapid, like I was stating, those perseverating thoughts, and the breath slows down the thinking pattern. And remember, if we slow down the thinking pattern, what happens? Our body biologically is now more regulated. The adrenaline slows down, the cortisol slows down. So your breath can be something that you start in the morning. Maybe you wake up, even before you get out of bed. You can sit up before you put your feet on the ground and breathe in and breathe out. And maybe you do that just for a count of 10. Okay? So try that, see if that helps. Meditation is a wonderful skill set. You can sit on the ground, draw awareness to your breath, staying present with your thoughts and your feelings and your surroundings. Muscle relaxation is a wonderful way to reset your nervous system. You draw awareness to the top of your head, and you slowly maybe put some beautiful music on, and you slowly draw awareness to all different parts of the body. It will help you ground, become body aware, and that can also help your nervous system ground. I can't stress enough how much I believe in physical exercise. The moving of the body is how we release trauma. Body is stored on a cellular level in our body. So when you move, you're moving that energy around. A lot of us have so much stored energy, whether it's from how we grew up or the challenging, complex relationships that we're in. And exercise can be a wonderful way to combat trauma. We have a lot of studies that are demonstrating that as well, exercise being one of the leading modalities of healing. If exercise is a tough one for you, I care about that. Did you know that you can start small, like really small? A lot of times it's hard to get the traction of a new behavior, and we have this thought that we have to go to the gym and work out for an hour. Do you know you don't have to do that? Did you know you can just start by walking 1 day a week? Go for a walk around the block. Just do it one time. What that does is when you change the patterns of your day in and day out, it changes the circuitry in your thinking. So even getting up and walking around the block one time, that creates cognitive change, and that's what we're looking for. And then maybe the following week you do it twice. And maybe the following week you do it 3 times. And you can start adding just a little bit. What'll happen is you'll start to get a little bit of momentum. So we at the foundation, we really like an easy does it type of strategy. But if I was to pick one of these for you in terms of healing your nervous system, it would definitely be exercise. Do you exercise, Anthony?
I do, every day.
That's good. I do too.
I started small, though.
Yeah,
Very small.
I agree. I started really small. I really started maybe about 7 years ago, and I was watching TV one night, and I was going through a lot of personal changes in my life, and I literally just got on the ground and started doing push-ups. That's how I started. And I did maybe 2 chick push-ups, and then within a month I was at the gym, and it's 7 years later, and it's been life-changing. Do you feel the same?
Agreed, same.
Just life-changing. So we think you should exercise, and you can start really, really small. So here are some ways you can go halfway down on the education on the worksheet. Managing your fight or flight responses when triggered. Stay connected. I always talk about your body and identifying the indicators. If you feel activated, you might feel your heart racing, you might feel your palms get sweaty. That's a real big indicator for you to recognize that you might be in the middle of a fight or flight. Where are you feeling stressed, and where does it show up for you? One thing I really recommend is if you're in the middle of a conversation and you're feeling that level of anxiety come in and your central nervous system is activated and all of a sudden you're on adrenaline and you've recognized it, high five. High five to even recognizing it. It is such an incredible awareness if you recognize that you are in the middle of a state of alert. I do recommend, this is a key point, if you are in a state of alert, I recommend you don't continue the conversation. If you see that your loved one is in a state of alert, I also recommend that you pause the conversation. When we're in a state of alert and the amygdala is popping off and the adrenaline's running through our body, it's very difficult for us to operate in our rational thinking. Remember that? In our module 1, we talked about the cerebral cortex and the amygdala. The amygdala's taken over. Right now there's a stress response, a survival mechanism happening between the two of you, and we'd like you to just pause. So something that you can do, I've been teaching clients that when they are in a trauma response, if recognized, to go on a walk. It sounds so simple, but if there is any chance that you can pause the conversation, go to our boundaries module. I think it's module 8, and you can really learn how to have a language that pauses conversations so that you can get emotionally safe. Go for the pause and say, I'm going to need to pause. I feel dysregulated. I want to be available for this conversation in a better state. I'm not serving either of us right now, so I'm going to go for a walk. I'll be back in 15 minutes. I'd like you to go walk. And I don't want you to walk for exercise. I don't want it to be like like something where you're trying to get your heart rate up. We're actually trying to get your heart rate down. I have found between the 15-minute mark, 12 to 15 in there, something happens neurologically. When you do a very slow meditative type of walk, something happens, and the hope is that you move from that fight or flight state into that rest or relax. Okay, so I'd like you to first draw awareness to where your body's being activated. Use connective language that says, I'm going to need a break, and then maybe you go for a 15-minute walk. These are really skill sets that can help you heal that nervous system that might have been activated for so long. So also, it takes time. It just does. These practices, these skill sets, the breath work, the exercise, the meditation, therapy, those types of things can be really helpful. Your body will eventually settle, and your adrenaline in your body will start to re-regulate. We want the adrenaline when we're actually in an environment where we need it to be used. We don't want adrenaline running through our body day in and day out. It can be very, very harmful to our overall state. These skill sets in time help your body heal from its dysregulated state. Now, lastly, I just want to let you know, many of you may need to find your way to a specialized therapist, someone who knows addiction, someone who knows mental health, someone who specializes in what your family system is going through. A lot of times therapy can help, individual therapy just for the family. Sometimes maybe it's helpful to bring your loved one in, but I really recommend first and foremost you getting into some professional help and really getting some understanding about how to live the life that we desire for you to be living and that we are confident you know that you're after as well. So we bless you, blessing your nervous system, that you would find yourself in a state of healing, that you'd be practicing these skill sets, and that you would feel a sense of blessing as you find your way to the life that we believe God intended for you and your loved one to be living day in and day out. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much. Bye.